Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Dawn Bellamy. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of my series, Managing Self. Today's episode is titled, Fill My Cup. As many of you already know, I use this time to share with you, the listeners, my personal experiences that I have used and continue to use to manage my multiple sclerosis for almost the past 20 years. Successfully managing my multiple sclerosis with a healthy lifestyle, which includes fitness, having fun, and my favorite, food or eating. If it isn't appealing to me visually, well, I'll probably pass on the item. Basically, if it doesn't look good, I'm not going to bother picking it up, and it definitely won't make it to my mouth to eat. Nope, it's not deserving to be on my plate or in my cup. I eat with my eyes first, and people sometimes ask, what exactly do you mean when you say that, eating with your eyes first? And you may be wondering, how does this food or eating concept play what I consider a critical role in my successful management of my MS, my multiple sclerosis? I'll explain. First of all, I love food. I'm a New Orleanian. I was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, the morning after Thanksgiving Day, many years ago. And I was my mom's food tester. It was I who cast the final vote on taste, on the finishing touches of all the dishes that she prepared. And as a child, way before MS symptoms onset, I was only concerned with one culinary element, and that's taste. Never did I question why the layout of my food was the way that it was, not even why there was always seemed to be meat, potatoes, rice or pasta, and some vegetables present at every meal. Basically, if it was good, and it was, I ate it. So, at age 8, I started private school, and I started being made aware of different cultures. And in my adolescent years, I began to question things. And of course, many were food-related inquiries, like, why did Mom always put gravy on our steaks? Steaks weren't always served like that on TV. No doubt, Mom's gravy was magical. And believe you me, I liked it. I ate it, and I enjoyed it. Although I was all about the taste, I started to notice other aesthetics regarding food. Colors, textures, flavor profiles. To this day, I can still taste and see one of those steak dinners from my childhood past. That dark, beautiful brown color of creamy, salty goodness over a tender piece of beef with soft mashed potatoes, with a soft, delicate puddle of butter swimming in the middle of the potatoes, and like a colorful steamed vegetable medley with vibrant green broccoli and orange carrots and maybe some snow peas on the side. You get it. I like a pretty plate. Okay, sorry about that. As I was saying, I like a pretty plate, and I still think that this pretty food experience, or this eating pretty food, still enhances my culinary experience. And I gotta say, I'm really looking forward to the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday weekend, which is also my birthday weekend. So, talking about pretty plates, I'm looking forward to the not only to the turkey and plating of that food, but a very pretty, delicate pink strawberry cake for me. Now, in other shows, I always point out to, how MS has changed me, slowed me down enough to smell the roses, so to speak, basically to appreciate stuff. Of course, the good stuff, but to also appreciate the negative. I mean, MS has really made me courageous, and many of you listeners share some common fears that transpire each day going head to head with multiple sclerosis. The injections, the infusions, the multiple blood draws, the MRIs, etc., other procedures. Sometimes, I know myself, I felt like a human pincushion. Other times, somewhat like a science experiment. Tests and procedures performed on a, let's face it, trial and error basis. There isn't any black and white solution to how any doctors handle each of our situations dealing with MS. So, one thing I can say that my MS has helped me to do positively is to open my eyes to enjoy. Really enjoy what I love. And what I love, actually, like I said before, food. Probably my favorite thing is I really do appreciate and enjoy food. And again, my favorite holiday is right around the corner with my birthday. So I plan on eating everything that I desire, and fortunately, while being surrounded by friends and family, giving thanks. Thanks for who I am. Thanks for what I have, including the icing on that cake. Literally, I'm looking forward to that fresh, pretty pink strawberry cake. And this time, unlike my first birthday, I won't dive into it face first, no matter what. No matter how good it looks. It's probably not the best facial moisturizer, and I've learned so much since then. I've learned a lot since my first birthday, and a lot since my MS diagnosis over 19 years ago. 3.5 years after my MS diagnosis, in spring of 1999, 3 years after that, in 2002, I started competitive bodybuilding, or a body sculpting career. I learned how my body reacted to different foods to build this lean, athletic looking body. My first show was over 15 years ago, but I'm so happy for my eating lifestyle, which was largely established when I started competing, and that I continue to refine this eating habit for the best my body to go ahead and continue to fight MS. Generally, my everyday eating habits consist of a consumption of, I like to just basically say, more healthy items than not. I thought this was something unique to bodybuilding, but almost 19 years, again, since diagnosis, I've realized that this is simply just a good eating protocol. So it's not a new idea. And I was looking at different quotes kind of related to this topic. And Mark Twain, I found a quote from Mark Twain. Mark Twain said, "There is no such thing as a new idea. It's impossible. We simply take a lot of old ideas and put them in a sort of mental kaleidoscope. We give them a turn and make new and curious combinations. We keep on turning and making new combinations indefinitely, but they are the same old pieces of colored glass that have been in use through all of the ages." So, the whole bodybuilding diet of counting grams of carbohydrates, fats, proteins, and body-specific macronutrients is an old idea. Well, I learned the rudiments back then, and I definitely enjoyed the aesthetics that the dieting produced. But what some don't understand is I honestly felt great. Felt good enough to successfully manage a full-time job as a finance manager, working as a domestic, sometimes as an international audit consultant, while managing me and my MS. My life as an audit consultant working out of the country. Kind of funny. It reminded me of my early private school experiences, the exposure to foods to which I wasn't accustomed, but I was competing, as I like to say, on the side of my accounting career. I was competing in bodybuilding, and I was still managing to battle my MS. So wherever I was, I learned what was good for me, basically good for me to eat, and I did. Okay, so one day in between clients, I actually had some free time or leisure time. I was reading a health and wellness magazine, and there was an article on something that I had already known, the bare basics, the theory of Ayurveda. Ayurveda, is the scientific art to live a healthy life. According to Ayurveda, a balanced body automatically feels the need for healthier food, and the result is a healthier body and a healthy weight maintenance. One of the basic principles of Ayurvedic dieting include each meal should be a feast of all your senses, not just one. Recommended foods are rich in color, foods that are rich in flavors, aromas, and foods that are rich in different textures or varying textures. Theory of Ayurveda believes that this automatically starts your appetite, and you'll enjoy your food more, and also in turn you'll have a better digestion, which in turn leads to a healthier you. Ayurveda further indicates that any diets that are exclusive is incomplete. When I say incomplete, I mean incomplete in its nutritional value and its ability to balance all aspects of the body. Therefore, if you follow a strict diet, for example, a low carb diet or no fat diet, you don't get that balanced diet that is healthy for you in a long perspective. I developed a deeper understanding of this during my 10-year competition past, and as I continue to be a health advocate, I continue to live this lifestyle, following these principles. Nothing in my diet is restricted. Nothing, even the most decadent items, serve as a piece of my diet puzzle. I like to say, not in excess, but in moderation. So, back when I was younger, I had the basic knowledge of a variety of food colors and maybe even textures. But later I learned the more about the whole Ayurvedic dieting, and another one includes the 6 tastes, which I wasn't aware that there were 6 tastes. I probably only thought sweet, salty, maybe bitter, but I didn't understand all the 6 tastes of Ayurvedic dieting. According to Ayurvedic dieting, each meal should include the 6 tastes: bitter, pungent, astringent, salty, sweet, and sour. The Ayurvedic diet emphasizes the importance of including each of the 6 tastes at every meal. Each taste has a balancing ability, and we need to basically have a balanced meal, or balanced mix, of each of these tastes at each meal. And there's reason why. Reason why is foods with, a bitter taste helps increase intellect, or what we're I know as an MSer, we're often concerned with our cognitive ability. But foods with bitter taste relieve mucus or pus and watery accumulations, and bitter foods also have a antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties. Also detoxifying, which is probably one of the most beneficial things that, again, as an MSer, I'm aware of. Foods with a pungent taste stimulate your appetite and improve your digestion and give mental clarity. Again, as an MSer, we know we all have that fog or fog cog. I'm not sure how you say it, but where things are just kind of mentally foggy. But mental clarity is often important for us as well. Again, pungent foods help disorders such as obesity and sluggish digestion, and help rid the body of excess water. This taste also, a pungent foods that is, helps improve circulation, which I know myself personally, I have issues with my circulation in my hands and in my feet. Oftentimes I don't really get the sensation of what's really happening because of poor circulation. So, I keep in the back of my mind now that foods with pungent taste improve my circulation. Foods that with pungent taste also helps the body purify the blood. And some of these foods are onions and garlics and ginger and things like that, cayenne, black pepper. So not a surprise on what they are, but just a few there. I'll move on to foods with astringent taste. Basically, those foods can help stop diarrhea and bleeding. Astringent foods reduce sweating, and they have a cooling effect. Now, astringent foods include things like cabbage and bananas and cranberries, turmeric, and a few others. So that's basically, why we should try to incorporate each of these foods so that we have a balanced body. Other areas of importance, including air-based dieting, include food temperatures and states: warm, cool, dry, liquid, heavy, light. Each meal should include foods that are warm, cool, dry, liquid, heavy, and light. Balanced main meals should contain, according to the Ayurvedic diet, each meal should contain all the qualities of warm, cool, dry, liquids, heavy, and light. The proportions of each quality basically will depend on, the season and your own personal needs for balance. Me personally, what I do, I use my sixth sense, no pun intended. I use my sixth sense to eat what's best for me to make me ready for my optimal performance, like, just whatever every day. Like most MSers, especially down here in the South, I'm in Texas, grew up in Louisiana, hydration during summer months is critical. So I consume more liquids in the summer, more cool liquids, definitely. So as a kid, I had a very juvenile, basic idea of food appreciation. What food meant to me to make me happy. Taste, that's all I was concerned about. That's all that mattered. But as I grew older, I started noticing the different food characteristics. As a kid, taste, okay. As I got MS, I started looking at food properties as far as how to make me feel better with, digestion, proper circulation, things like that. But it's interesting that as a competitive builder, I really started to intentionally look at food properties. And each stage was different, but during each of these phases of my life, at the time I thought I was doing something new, something innovative, the way I was looking at food, when I was really not doing anything different. And when I wrote my first cookbook, I knew that it was the same idea. I realized that this is the same idea that had been presented to myself or just interpreted by myself differently each time. And the emphasis just varied on the same idea. My book is titled Dawn Melanie Cooks for Fitness Competitions to Manage Multiple Sclerosis for Health. See, again, 3 different targets, but really the same idea. These meals, I included in the book. I created these meals basically to emphasize a healthier life. So at every meal, I strive to achieve this ideal, what I consider an ideal plating scenario, inclusive of different colors, textures, tastes, all incorporated from my dining experience. And it takes a little bit longer than the average person. That's okay, because at least I know why it does. Because today It's been 19 years since Thanksgiving 1998, but I still have these intentional tremors. Today I know why. It's because of the MS. And, I'm particularly still prone to experience these tremors when handling dishes and cups. So, some may say, am I worried about it? Especially since I do plan on using the china. But I can honestly say that I'm really not worried about it. They're just dishes, and that's. I don't forget my husband told me that when I last time I dropped and broke a bowl. He says, "Honey, it's just a bowl." So I feel the same way about the china. It's just china, but I plan on this Thanksgiving, laying out this beautiful cornucopia of culinary offerings, and my personal plate. Actually, I use 2 plates for dinner and 2 plates for desserts. And these plates that I plan on laying them out with balance, and again keeping in mind the principles that I've talked about with the Ayurvedic dieting: a balance of taste, a balance of textures, a balance of different food varieties, and at the end of the day, I hope my personal consumption is best suited for my health, so that I can feel the best that I can feel. I don't want to feel stuff like the turkey, no matter how much good food we have available. Let's all, I want us all strive for a healthy balance, enjoying everything. When I say everything, I mean everything. Let's try to enjoy everything in moderation. Be open to. I want to encourage you to be open to differences, not just with food, but different way of doing things, different ways of approaching things, and maybe you'll learn from yesterday, and it'll help you to better enjoy and live for today, and give that hope that you need, hope for tomorrow. That kind of keeps you going and makes you look forward to waking up for the next day. I was going to say I know most of you out there have MS, like me, and spill stuff quite frequently, just as I talked about the intentional tremors. And believe you me, I know how humbling we feel when this happens. Me particularly, if my cup spills over, this Thanksgiving and every day, I want to hope that it's going to be spilling with this said humility that I spoke of. Humility and gratefulness, and in a peace within me, with myself. I spoke metaphorically of this cup, but I guess I want to encourage you all to strive to keep that metaphoric, physical, and mental cup full of those items. The humility, the peace, the gratefulness, and also to try to refrain from consuming ingredients that are actually toxic to our bodies. I'm sure you're familiar with, the elements of stress, such as anger and viciousness and harsh words like that, and particularly our reaction to these items. These items are toxic to our bodies and cause stress and can lead to relapses and exacerbation. So I want to encourage you to stay away from those items if you can. Remember earlier I quoted Mark Twain saying, "There's no such thing as a new idea." Well, my change of focus regarding my eating at different stages of my life was actually the same, yielding the same healthy results. The more I studied, the more I understood. I understood simply it was just one idea presented with just basically various combinations that were employed. And today, as the 2017 holiday season approaches, I hope you too, you too, I hope you also know that whether or not you have a novel idea or not, that it's worth exploring in depth. I always say, how can ignorance or unawareness be bliss or delight? Maybe in the short term, sure, but I myself personally I rather be informed. And I guess be informed and not discouraged, because your idea may have already been thoroughly studied further, and there may also be existing correlated findings that have been documented and proven. So I often say that the important thing is to not stop questioning. And I want to end with a quote from the philosopher Voltaire. He said, God gave us the gift of life. It is up to us to give ourselves the gift of living well. I hope so. Today, I hope you can all further explore the discussed principles I talked about earlier, the Ayurvedic principles of eating and dieting, and take charge. Take charge to manage yourself. My series is managing self, so I encourage you to take these principles and implement them into your daily life to help manage yourself, to help manage your multiple sclerosis, to be the healthiest you that you can be. Thank you for listening, and happy holidays 2017.